Oh, it's finally over. I can't believe it. Oh, this is like, man, I can't, I didn't even clap because I was just too into it. Oh man, oh man. Hey guys, I just thought I'd drop in to say, you all have some splaining to do. Look at this. You see this? Look at this, right here, look at this. What's wrong with this image here, Right? Notice, which words correlate with which numbers here? Yeah? I think we need to fix this, don't you? I think this needs to be fixed. How? Well, why don't you give me the answer, You're very smart, very talented. Why don't you, give me the answer? But there is only one right answer. Any incorrect answers will face consequences. So choose wisely and enjoy the video, alright? Bye-bye. I can't stop now! We're too far. I squat against the roof's chain fence with my eyes closed. To refresh my memory, I pull out the drawers of my mental archive and sort through each file one by one. My actions that day, Mayuri's actions, my conversation with Kuretsu, Nakabachi's presentation. With those memories to guide me, I begin to draw up a plan for how to complete my mission.
Oh, Karin, I got the stuff.
I open my eyes once I hear Mayuri's voice. Then it's time. I take a deep breath and stand up. Mayuri's faster on her feet than Daru and I, so I had her pick up some things for me. She went all the way to the lab and back in the sweltering heat, but she's not even breathing hard. She runs up to me with a triumphant smile. Almost like a playful puppy, shaking her tail.
Here you go. Will this work?
In her hand is a plastic stick, about 30 centimeters long. I take it and nod in satisfaction. Good work, Mayuri.
Maybe she's happy to be useful to Okarin. Oh, I also brought you this.
She hands me a banana. Aw. I guess she's telling me not to time travel on an empty stomach.
What's that?
Oh, she doesn't know what a banana is.
A banana!
No, I mean that stick. Oh. It's not a stick. It's a sword. Oh, it is! It's a lightsaber, what the heck? One of our lab's many inventions. Future gadget number 6. The Cycloom Saber. The Sialoom? Kylum? Whatever.
Kylum Saber?
It's a red Kylum glow stick. An essential item for idol and voice actress concerts. But it's not just a glow stick. It's saber-shaped, just as its name implies. So you can reenact scenes from Spark Wars. Spark Wars.
Wow.
Furthermore, it can also form fake blood clots. Detach the cap at the tip, and thick blood starts flowing out.
I, really don't get what you were trying to accomplish when you made this.
We wanted to make our sword fights more realistic. What he means to say is that everything is inevitable.
I think I see your plan. You're gonna use that Sialoom stuff as a stand-in for Makase Kiritsu's blood, aren't you?
Precisely. I stuff my cheeks with banana, enraptured by my own genius. I truly am a mad scientist. This is so good. I put my Siloom saber into my pocket. It's about 30 centimeters long, so it sticks out a little, but I don't mind. I had Daru buy me a stun gun earlier. I pocket that too. A stun gun? You can just buy one of those? Dang. With this, my preparations are complete. I give Suzuha a glance.
Let's go, Uncle Ocarine. One more time. One more trip to July 28th. There and back. That's all the fuel we have left. This is our last chance. You ready?
Leave it to me. I will change the world. I kind of thought, like, when she said that they had 2 round trips there and back, I kind of figured that something was going to go wrong in the first one, you know? So, I follow Suzuha into the time machine. While waiting for Meieri to return, I asked Suzuha if there was a chance that I might run into myself from last time. In other words, the me who killed Kuretsu. She replied that wasn't possible. The world line where I killed Kuretsu is minutely different from the one to which the time machine will take us. Time travel has a very small effect on divergence, much too small to cause any notable changes, but enough to ensure that there can never be 2 versions of the same time traveler. However, it is important to remember that world lines are not parallel worlds. Ultimately, attractor field convergence merges them into a single world line. My actions are not meaningless. If I succeed in deceiving both myself and the world, the entire universe will converge upon a different future.
Ocarine!
Meieri leans through the hatch and gently strokes my cheek.
Come back, okay?
Of course. I return the smile and give her a thumbs up. I close the hatch as Daru and Meieri see me off with words of encouragement. Suzuha's already operating the time machine.
The fate of the future hangs on this mission.
Suzuha speaks as she presses some buttons.
We're counting on you, Uncle.
Instead of answering, I close my eyes. I find myself strangely calm. No impatience, no tension, none of the anxiety I felt the first time. How many times have I tasted failure? My hubris hurt those closest to me. My foolishness cost them their dreams. And even though those mistakes have been undone, the memories still remain as a brand on my heart. You must not reject the 3 weeks you spent drifting between world lines. You must not undo the past. It all meant something. Every mistake. Every sacrifice. Without them, I would not be standing here now. From that knowledge, I draw strength, confidence, and pride. The memories I shouldered deserve nothing less. And so, I am no longer afraid. I will reach the unknown world line, Steins Gate. Its future is uncertain, but that is how it should be. For once, I need not worry what fate has in store. Only one thing matters now. Saving Kuretsu. Gravity pulls at my back. Rainbow lights start drifting through the compartment. It's time. This is my Ragnarok. Oh boy. I exit the time machine onto the familiar rooftop. As before, it's empty. I can see the top of the train station a short distance away. This is the third time I've been here now. I run through the plan in my head one last time. Time is short, but I have no choice. I have to do it. No, I will do it. Failure isn't an option. I wait for Suzuha to break the lock, then I run inside just like last time. So wait, what I'm trying to figure out then is, I think they explained it, but I missed it. How can the time machine be in the same place where the other one was going to be? Because it can't move positions, right? So wouldn't we have been like inside of ourselves? Or I must have missed something. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. Narrowly avoiding the first me again, I descend to the 7th floor. Last time, I went all the way down to the 4th floor, but not this time. I direct my attention to the capsule toy machines near the landing. It's time for step 1. Rainet Kakaru Character Doll Series. This is it. On July 28th, the first me won a super rare metal Upa from this very machine. No time to waste. I insert the 100 yen coin I prepared beforehand and turn the lever hard. A capsule falls into the slot. Just as I grab it.
Look! Rainet!
My heart leaps into my throat. That was Mayuri's voice. She's already here? I quickly turn and leave the area before Mayuri can see my face. Luckily, she's so entranced by the capsule toy machines that she doesn't realize who I am. Once I get down to the 4th floor, I check the contents of the capsule. There it is! The metal Upa is inside. This is the prize that was meant for me. Which means the first me will get. The answer is obvious. Phase 1 is complete. Time for Phase 2. I turn around abruptly.
Ah!
Kuretsu is standing behind me, her mouth open in surprise. My timing was perfect.
Hey, you just came down from the... Huh?
I'm going to save you. Leave everything to me.
Oh, dude. What?
I say no more. If I tell her everything, she'll have no reason to talk to the first me. On July 28th, she came to me during Nakabachi's presentation. She claimed that I had tried to tell her something, then proceeded to drag me out into the hallway for further questioning. That is part of my experience. It should be enough to ensure that it happens exactly as I remember. I pat Kuretsu on the shoulder, then race back up the stairs.
Wait!
I run up the 6th floor, then creep up towards the 7th floor landing until I can just make out the capsule toy machines. As expected, there's the first me about to turn the lever in Mayuri's stead.
Ah! It's an Upa!
Is it rare?
It's not rare, but isn't it just so cute? Mayushi loves Upa.
I grinned to myself. It worked. The order changed. Mayuri now has a regular Upa, not the metal one I gave her the first time. And that means... Thank you all for coming to Dr. Nakabachi's Time Machine Press Conference. The presentation is about to begin. The first me heads up to the 8th floor. But Mayuri doesn't move. She takes out a pen and starts signing the Upa. Just as planned. When Dr. Nakabachi defected to Russia on August 21st, he had Mayuri's metal Upa with him. If he has the plastic one instead, it should change the fate of the Nakabachi paper. But one question remains. How exactly did Mayuri's Upa fall into Dr. Nakabachi's hands? I watch as Mayuri finishes signing her name. She nods in satisfaction, then runs after the first me. Just before she can get to the stairs, she puts the Upa into her coat pocket. But it doesn't go in all the way. As she runs up the stairs, I see it fall out and roll away. Mayuri is completely oblivious. A moment later, she disappears from sight. I look at the Upa lying on the floor. Does Nakabachi pick it up? How? He's in the middle of his presentation upstairs. He doesn't have any opportunity. Karatsu's gonna pick it up because she thinks it's cute, doesn't she? She's gonna pick it up because she thinks it's cute. She puts it in the envelope. Oh my gosh. I knew it! I knew it! That's when Karatsu comes up from downstairs. I quickly hide in the stairwell across the landing. Oh my gosh. Karatsu reaches the 7th floor without noticing me. She finds the fallen Upa and picks it up. So it was Karatsu who found the Upa. The butterfly effect. In 3 weeks, this completely innocuous event changes the outcome of an accidental fire on one of what must be thousands of planes flying that day. By extension, it changes the fate of the entire human race. Karatsu looks curiously at the Upa, then looks around as if searching for the owner. Of course, Karatsu doesn't know who Mayuri is. At this point in time, those two aren't even acquainted yet. After realizing there's no one around, Karatsu puts the Upa into her envelope and goes up to the 8th floor. Now that I've seen what I need to see, I go upstairs too and head to the employee hallway. Dude, oh my gosh. Here's where it gets serious. I grip the Siloom saber and shake it silently, thus activating the red fluorescent reaction inside. It'll last about 10 minutes. It should get dim before Karatsu makes her appearance. I know what I need to do. The problem is that my window of opportunity is so slim. Will I be able to handle the enraged Dr. Nakabachi? One mistake, and Karatsu will die. What are you afraid of, Hawawin Kiyoma? Everything's going according to plan. Operation Scold is flawless. You spent 15 years perfecting it, remember? Believe in yourself. Believe in Hawawin Kiyoma. Hawawin Kiyoma will save Karatsu. I close my eyes and wait for the time to come, hidden behind the same pile of cardboard boxes as last time. I hear the sound of sparse applause from the event hall, which means I should be hearing footsteps soon. There they are. Karatsu has come right on time. She leans against the wall and looks inside her envelope, smiling softly as she does. And now, I know the reason behind that smile. It's the Upa inside. That's so good. Oh my gosh. The Upa. She's probably smiling at how adorable it is. That smile really doesn't suit you, Karatsu. I stifle a chuckle. I'm surprised I'm calm enough to feel that way, despite the current situation. Once Nakabachi appears, that's my signal to spring into action. I'll bring out the Sialoom Saber as soon as that jerk tries to take out his knife. Then I'll scare him away and stun Kurotsu. Oh my gosh. The stun gun I brought should handle both tasks flawlessly. That's the plan, at least. The next set of footsteps echoes down the hallway. Kurotsu looks up. I can't see Nakabachi, but I know it's him.
I wanted to talk. Are you listening, Papa?
Even the words she speaks are the same. What is that?
I heard you were giving a presentation on time travel. So I thought about it too. Could it be possible to make a time machine?
The atmosphere is far from pleasant. Nakabachi doesn't even try to hide his displeasure. And the first me is probably at fault for that. At least partially. Looks like it's about time for Nakabachi to go ballistic. I grip the Sialoom Saber and make one final check. It's already dimmed down. Now all I have to do is remove the cap at the tip, and the fake blood will... My breath catches in my throat. In the darkness of my hiding spot, I bring the Sialoom Saber close to my eyes and peer inside. The fake blood has begun to coagulate. No, this shouldn't happen. I was certain the liquid would remain fluid for around 30 minutes after losing luminescence. Was it effective? Come to think of it, we never tested the Sialoom Saber. It can only be used once before the tube needs to be replaced. Given the lab's financial situation, we thought it would be a waste to use it, so we never did. How could I have failed to consider this possibility? If I'd had half a brain, I would have brought a spare. This is bad. The plan is falling apart. I wasn't shunned! Nakabachi's shrill shriek startles me. Those incompetent jerks were just jealous of my superiority. I was the one who gave up on them.
Please don't yell.
Time won't stop for me. How do I recover from this setback? I can't leave. Nakabachi's about to attack his daughter. If I make my appearance after that, it'll be the same as last time. I'll end up killing Kurotsu again. No matter what, I can't let that happen. What do I do? Do I go back to the time machine and try again? No. Remember what Suzuha said? There's not enough fuel for another trip. This is my last chance.
We haven't seen each other in a while. There's a lot I want to talk about. You're living in Aomori now, right?
Leave. Go back to America. Never show your face to me again.
But...
You want my opinion? We'll submit it jointly? You don't mean any of that! I know how you think! My heart is pounding. I'm sweating like crazy. It feels like I've just run a marathon. I cover my mouth to suppress the sound of my breathing. Is this pity? How dare you! You're supposed to be my daughter!
I don't understand. Please calm
I am calm! Don't tell me what to do! Nakabachi is about to snap. Events are proceeding just like last time, barreling inexorably towards disaster. Please, I find myself begging, make time stop. But another voice from within answers. Are you praying, Haowen Kiyoma? Have you forgotten? I'll tell you why I called you here today. I wanted to show you my research. Research beyond even what you can imagine. I wanted to prove, once and for all, that you are nothing compared to me. Change the future. Deceive the world. But that brat in the lab coat ruined everything! I know you were laughing at me too, don't you deny it! How dare you treat your own father this way! I wasn't... You want my opinion? Fine, I'll give it to you. I'm going to publish it myself. End of discussion. I won't court the mercy of a heartless god. I will save Kurtzu myself. She won't die again. Not at my hands. Not at anyone's. You're stealing it? What did you say? You're stealing my work? I didn't think even you would do something like... Ah! Nakabachi strikes Kurtzu on the cheek. Who do you think you're talking to? It's starting. Nakabachi puts his hands around Kurtzu's neck. Her cries of agony fill my ears. There's still a way to prevent Kurtzu's death. That puddle of blood I saw beneath Kurtzu's body. There's one more way to reproduce it. One more way. One last chance. It's a gamble, to be sure. Even if it succeeds, I don't know what effect it might have on the Steins Gate world line. You can't possibly understand how I feel. Why did you have to be so talented? I detest you. I hate your very existence. Nobody is allowed to be better than me. Understand? Nobody! Especially not my own daughter! That's why I abandoned you. I couldn't bear the shame of being your father! It's all your fault. It's all your fault! It matters not. I am Haowen Kiyoma, the mad scientist who defies God. My true desire is chaos. I have no need for a predetermined future. Stop! Calmly, I step out from my hiding spot. Nakabachi looks at me in disbelief. His eyes are wide and bloodshot. You! Oh, he's gonna get himself stabbed. You're the brat who ruined my presentation! Nakabachi lets go of Kurtzu. How dare you show your face before me? Why does everyone get in my way? I know. You and Kurtzu planned this, didn't you? Didn't you? You brats won't get away with this! Nakabachi pulls the knife from his pocket. Its blade reflects cold light. Once I see that glint, I laugh disdainfully. Try it, if you dare. You. Who are you? My name is Haowen Kiyoma! What? Hao for Phoenix, then In, And finally, the terrible truth that must never be revealed. Haoen Keoma! I am the bringer of chaos, the destroyer of order. And I am the one who will end your ambition! Kurotsu staggers to her feet with her hand to her neck.
Run away!
Never! I dismiss Kurotsu's plea and instead turn to Nakabachi with my arms spread wide. What's wrong, Dr. Nakabachi? Aren't you going to kill me? Or have you lost the nerve? Of course! A mere mortal could never slay a god such as I! You little... Nakabachi goes into a frenzy. He charges me with his knife, point first.
No! Papa, stop!
Nakabachi has completely lost his mind. I can see it in his eyes. He won't stop. And if he won't stop, then I'll stop him with my own body. You can't kill me! You're nothing! Die! The knife approaches. Its point glitters menacingly in the dim light. Inches away, I don't move a muscle. This is my last chance. I'll do whatever it takes. Intense pain rips through my abdomen. I feel the cold steel sink into my body. He did it. He stabbed me with the knife that killed Kurotsu. The pain flares. It feels like my insides are being torn out. Nakabachi yanks out the knife. Blood gushes from the open wound. The iron taste of blood spreads through my mouth. Pain threatens to steal away my consciousness. My body's on fire. My vision blurs. I struggle desperately to stay on my feet. Now who's laughing? That's what you get for mocking me! I whip out the stun gun and switch it on. The electric arc crackles to life inches away from Nakabachi's face. He instantly turns pale. Now you've done it. I spear him with my glare and take a step forward. A wave of nausea surges over me. Blood spews from my throat. But I don't look away. I keep my eyes fixed on Nakabachi. You'll regret this, old man. I'm going to kill you. You and the girl. I'll kill you both.
Don't move!
Kurotsu runs up to me. She holds me and supports my body.
Lie down! I'll call an ambulance.
What is she doing trying to help me? Didn't she hear me threaten to kill her? You're too soft-hearted for a tsundere. Back when I was trying to save Mayuri, you were always the one who saved me. So this time, I'm going to save you.
What?
Kuretsu convulses. Strength leaves the legs she used to support me. She collapses. I'm sorry. I send her my silent apology. I'll be sure to have my way with your daughter before I kill her. But first is you, Nakabachi! Nakabachi tosses his knife away with a pitiful cry. He takes a step back. 2 steps back. Firing the stun gun once more does the trick. Nakabachi turns and flees down the hallway toward the elevators. But first, he makes sure to pick up the envelope Kuretsu dropped. How shrewd of him. I touch my wound. The lightest touch sends pain coursing through my body. I fall to my knees. I feel faint. The bleeding won't stop. The blood is starting to pool on the floor. I press my hands into the blood. Still not enough. I reach for my stomach, wet and glistening with blood. Oh my gosh. This is so poetic, dude. Oh my gosh. I take a breath, then drive my fingers into the wound. The pain is like nothing I've ever experienced. Unable to bear it, I throw back my head. I scream until my throat is raw. I can't stop now. Fighting against the urge to faint, I feed strength into my hands and pull the wound wider. My blood paints the floor crimson. Uncle Ocarine! Suzuha runs up to me. That wound! What happened? What were you thinking? If you die, if we fail... Uncle? You forget who you're dealing with, Suzuha. Look at the floor. Notice anything? The floor? That should be enough blood. Don't you think? She looks down and beholds my masterpiece. A pool of blood! To deceive myself. To deceive the world. The stage is set. But Uncle, you'll die! There's no way I'm going to die. Who do you think I am? I am the insane mad scientist, Aowen Kiyoma. Uncle. If convergence holds, then it's already determined that I don't die. Not here. I die in 2025. That's a fixed event on the Beta World line. That was my bet. I intentionally provoked Nakabachi to rage, I took the knife meant for Kuretsu and survived. The wound gave me what I needed to carry out my plan. Though I have to admit, I didn't think it would hurt this much. There's no telling what will happen when we reach Steins Gate. The future of that world line is still undecided. There's no reason it can't include my death. How ironic. I made a bet based on the guarantee that I wouldn't die, but winning that bet makes death a very real possibility. I twist my lips into a smile. Time to put the finishing touch on my masterpiece. Suzuha, get Kuretsu.
Okay.
Suzuha picks up the unconscious Kuretsu. Then she lays her face down on top of my blood puddle. Kuretsu doesn't wake up. She's perfectly still. But she's definitely breathing. I stroke her hair gently. Did it hurt? I'm sorry. But I had to do it. To save you. Even though those 3 weeks will never come back. I want you to live. Even if we reach Steins Gate. Even if Kuretsu lives. Even if I don't die. We'll never meet again. Kuretsu will never join the lab. We will never build the time leap machine together. But still, I'm glad I was able to save her. Goodbye. Please stay unconscious for a while. I need you to deceive the first me. While Suzuha goes to pick up the knife, I use the wall to climb to my feet. Mission complete. Return to base.
This is crazy, Uncle. You're insane.
Insane? Nonsense. This is all according to plan.
Don't talk. I'll take you back to August 21st. Try to endure the GS, okay? Darn! I should have brought a first aid kit.
I feel pressure crush my body. My wound throbs. I feel like groaning, but I bite my lip and bear it. Rainbow lights fill my vision. Time machine is activating. Suzuha wraps my wound with a towel.
Hey, Uncle. I'm sure Steins Gate is waiting for us on the other side. A world where nothing is known. Where anything is possible. A world where you live. Where Makase Kuretsu lives. Where Shiname Yuri lives. A world where I have no reason to travel to 2010. The future may still lead to World War III. It may lead to a dystopia ruled by CERN.
Someone's warm hand grasps mine. Tightly. Tightly.
But now, there is hope for the future again.
I slowly close my eyes. It's hard to breathe. but my pain feels distant now.
Once we arrive, I'll probably disappear. I won't be able to thank you for bringing me to Steins Gate. So I'll say it now.
The warmth of her hand slowly fades away.
Thank you, Uncle. Don't die. Live. And in 7 years, let's meet again. Okay?
It's time to go home. Mayuri and Aru are waiting. And with them, a future that has yet to be written. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh, holy crap! I couldn't even commentate, dude. That was insane. That was so good. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh. Just let me bask for a minute. That was so crazy. That went in such a different way than I expected it to go. Oh my gosh. I just had no idea what was gonna happen. That was so good. His whole plan, his whole makeshift plan, even down to him screaming in pain, replaced the scream of terror or fear or whatever that he had of killing Karitsu. It was just him ripping his own self open. It was like, I love that idea of him being the ultimate sacrifice, you know? That he's the one that, like, he had to pay for his own sins, so to speak, you know? He had to pay with his own blood, you know? Like, it's just so poetic. Oh, man. That's so good. Oh my gosh. What a trip. What a trip. I couldn't stop. This is probably going to be a couple of different episodes, I'm sure, but I did not stop from when I got to the 11th chapter till now, because I couldn't. How could you stop? How could you stop after that? I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Yo. Oh my gosh. Open the Steins Gate. Yes! Okay, there is an end. Okay. I got the achievement, open the Steins Gate, though. Okay. It's been a month since then. My wound was deep enough to require surgery. If I'd been just 1 hour late getting to the hospital, I would have died from blood loss. The doctor laughed as he told me this. Hilarious. After being cooped up in the hospital for so long, it's exciting to be walking around Akaba again. I look around to see if Akaba's any different from what I remember, but nothing catches my eye. I just get the feeling that there are more moe shops than before. The mysteries of divergence. I chuckle to myself, then dig into my pocket. Something jingles. Ah. There are the metal pins inside. 8 of them. The Future Gadget Laboratories member badges. They're designed based on the pin Suzuha brought from the future. Which world line Suzuha was that again? Anyway, back then, We searched all over Akaba for that pin. And while I was hospitalized, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to ask Daru to have them made. And of course, the one we commissioned to make them was that shady foreign street vendor. The final product is slightly different from Suzuha's, but it's pretty well done. I pass through the archway of Yanabayashi's shrine and head to the courtyard. There, brandishing a sword with sublime dignity, stands a Miko. The Miko is so lovely that anyone would doubtless stop to stare. But that's not a Miko, and that's not a real sword. That sword is a 980 yen imitation, and that beautiful Miko is a guy. Lukako lifts his head at the sound of my footsteps.
Okabe-san!
As soon as our eyes meet, he runs up to me in a fluster. His eyes are already wet with tears.
You were discharged today?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I didn't know anything about it.
Of course you didn't. I didn't tell you.
But I'm glad you're okay. I'm so happy.
And then he starts crying in earnest. Seeing his tears, I feel an urge to pat his head and tell him everything will be all right, but I resist and sigh instead. I hear you were a natural at your cosplay debut. I hear you even have a fan club. Mayuri filled me in on the situation. After years of persistent nagging, she finally convinced Lukako to cosplay near the end of summer break. It wasn't in time for Kamima, but he wore one of Mayuri's costumes to the cosplay event in early September. His cosplay debut was effective. Dozens of photographers took his picture, and the images soon went viral on the net. Try to look up pictures of Lukako now, and you'll get a ton of hits. He's being swarmed by fans, and since he's what they call a trap, he's popular with girls too. Oh my gosh, why? There are some things in this world I just don't understand. Me neither, bro.
To be honest, it's so confusing.
You know, I still haven't had the pleasure to see you cosplay in the flesh.
I just can't. If Okabe-san were to see me, I'd get so embarrassed I'd die.
But you had fun, didn't you? That's what Mayuri said.
Yes.
You've grown up, Lukako. He's overcome his feelings of inadequacy and accepted himself for who he is. And he even had fun doing it.
Okabe-san... I mean, Kiyoma-san. It's all thanks to the Seishin Zanma style you taught me. I've cleared my mind of all mundane thoughts.
He truly is a worthy disciple. But you must not grow complacent. Your next objective is to ascend to the true form of the Seishin Zanma style. Once you've mastered it, the flames of evil sealed within you will have nothing left to burn. That moment will mark the beginning of the legend of Urushibara Luka, Guardian Miko of the Personopolis of Akihabara. What?
What exactly will this legend be about?
I shall tell you at the proper time. I reach into my pocket and take out a pin. Labmem number 006. Urashibara Luka. I grant this unto you. Lukako nervously accepts the pin with a confused expression.
When did I become a lab mem?
It's a memory from beyond the veil of time. Your past life, I suppose you could say.
My past life?
You've been a lab mem from the moment you were born. Be proud. It's not an exaggeration, it's the truth. Lukako most likely doesn't remember. But it's okay, even if I'm the only one who does. You don't like it?
No, it's just... I'm really happy.
He starts crying again.
I always wanted to be a part of your lab. I wanted to be one of you. But I never had the courage to ask. Thank you so much.
He bows his head. This is a precious artifact. Only 8 of them exist in the entire world. It's a magic item that protects you from all calamity.
Really?
No. So don't lose it.
I won't.
Lukako nods with a joyful smile on his face. Too cute. Oh, we're doing this? Okay, alright, here we go.
Welcome back, Measter.
I pass through May Queen's door for the first time in forever. Forrest runs over to greet me.
Kiyoma!
She suddenly links arms with me. At first, I get a little flustered when something soft touches my elbow, but then I break into cold sweat once I feel the murderous glares of the surrounding Forest fans. Oh my gosh, that was a nice little callback.
They let you out of the hospital, nya?
Yeah, I managed to claw my way out of hell. I tear Forrest off of me and take a deep breath.
Precisely what I expected from the Haoan bloodline. The name of the Undying Phoenix isn't just for show, nya.
I see she's still making up her own backstories for people. It boggles my mind that this crazy cat girl is behind the redevelopment of Akihabara. Maybe the world's just messed up.
Mayushi has the day off, nya.
I know. She shows me to my table, where I order iced coffee.
Oh, right. We decided to open a second May Queen location, nya. And it's right on Chuodori, nyan. Isn't that awesome, nya?
Don't you think you're abusing your authority as redevelopment committee chair? Just a little? No doubt the recent explosion of Moai shops is her doing. I think she's getting just a little carried away.
This is my sacred duty, nya. Now is the time to summon all the powers of Moe to this holy land in preparation for their offensive, nya.
What? They're going to attack? Did the awakening occur while I was in the hospital?
That's right, nya. They took your absence as their opportunity, nya. Will we be able to complete the moification of Akaba before they hatch? That's the only way to defeat them. It's a race against time, nya.
Nice.
Varus also fought in the Rhinet AB tournament to gather karma, but it was really tough by myself, Nya.
What the heck does she mean by karma? Over the past month, Varus has started participating in Rhinet Access Battlers tournaments. Varus is the chairman of the Akihabara Redevelopment Project, a high school student, a popular waitress at a maid cafe, the president of the company founded by her father, and the head of the Akiha family. She should be incredibly busy, but I guess she couldn't stay away from Rhinet forever. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, she went to her very first official tournament and snatched a dramatic victory. Varus is even more cheerful than usual now. I guess all it takes to feel fulfilled is to do the things you like to do.
I need your mad scientist powers to stop them, Nya. If they make it into town, they'll make the place their litter box.
I guess I have no choice. If it's come to this, then I too must fulfill the covenant. Oh yeah, and take this with you.
Nya?
I take a pin out of my pocket and present it to Varus.
This is... Where did you get this, Kyoma?
During my stay at the hospital.
So you've overcome the test of the heart, Nya. You truly are a great man, Nya.
I don't really get what's going on, so let's just nod for now. This belongs to you, LabMM number 007. Whenever you need my help, just hold that pin and speak the incantation La Yehoda Stasella. Varus and I smile at each other. And then we high-five.
Thanks, Nya. The future gadget laboratory is the hope of Akaba, Nya. Can I come over for a visit, Nya?
Of course you can. Daru will be glad to see you. When I get back to the lab, I am startled to find an unexpected visitor. Yo, Kabe! Out of the hospital already? Yeah. Tanoji, Yugo, and Nei are standing out front. Kiryu Moeka is with them. The Rounders, who killed Mayuri on another world line. Nei hides behind her father when she sees me, like usual. Oh yeah! Let me introduce ya. Tanoji indicates Moeka with his chin. Oh, she's the new part-time warrior, dude. Oh, she's the one that's gonna be working for him. No! It's so good. Starting today, this girl's gonna work part-time at my place. Moeka bows her head. She's silent as always, but at least she's not holding her phone. I guess that's some improvement. Doesn't talk much, but don't let it bother you. Don't worry. Shining Finger and I already know each other. Shining Finger? Who's that? I point to Moeka. Shining Finger! That's the name of her Esper power. Tanoji and Moeka ignore me completely.
He helped me look for an IBM 5100.
I got a thank you email from her during my stay at the hospital. That email helped me figure out our relationship on this world line. Oh, that retro PC you were talking about? Did you find one? Moeka shakes her head. Well, it is just an urban legend. Oh, nice. It's not real then. Why did you decide to work here? Did Tanoji tell her who he is? I thought Moeka was supposed to know FB's true identity.
I brought her.
Nay speaks up in a tiny voice.
I introduced her to Daddy.
I see. So you're a matchmaker, huh? Hey, numbskull! There's only two things I love in this world. Brawn tubes and my little girl.
Daddy.
Besides, it was more like the other way around. After Nay fell and got hurt, this girl gave her first aid and brought her all the way back here. I didn't know Moeka had such a gentle side. Since she was unemployed, I decided to give her a job as thanks for helping my girl. Never thought our store would hire a part-timer. Didn't you hire one just last month? Huh? You high on your painkillers, kid? I've never had help before. Ah, of course. The Suzuha who worked here was the Suzuha of the Alpha World line, the Suzuha who came from a future ruled by CERN. The current world line has a different future, so she didn't come. The time she spent here never happened. Well, in that case, good luck to you, Moeka. This is the perfect opportunity. I take a pin out of my pocket and hand it to Moeka. Aw. Oh, now you're flirting? Don't mess around with my part-timer. This pin is proof that you are lab mem number 005. Our lab is on the second floor. Come on by whenever you feel like it. Moeka stares at the pin in her hand. But I can't help you look for an IBM 5100 anymore, okay? Don't be like that. Help her out, will ya? I can't. I'm a busy man. Catch the attention of the rounders again? No thanks. Besides, the three of them are better off if we never find an IBM 5100. So there's still rounders on this world line, then, is what he's getting at, I think. Is he? Is that what he's getting at? Or is it that they become one because of the IBM 5100? I don't know. I ended the conversation with a shrug and head to the stairs.
Okabe-kun.
Moeka calls my name. I turn back to see Moeka smiling ever so faintly.
Thank you for this.
Yeah. The hatred I once felt towards them is gone. I forgave Moeka and Tanoji both. Now that I've destroyed our time machine, we can go back to being good neighbors. I won't pry into their secret lives, and I won't attempt to fight them either. It's all up to them. However, the affection that Nei showed towards Moeka brings an undeniable warmth to my heart. Right as I walk into the lab, I'm greeted by the chiming of a microwave oven.
Okarin!
Mayeti smiles brightly as she takes her juicy chicken number 1 out of the microwave.
Da-da-da! Welcome back, Karin.
Did you just combine welcome back and Okarin?
Yup. I've said it before, remember?
Then Mayeti holds out the steaming chicken.
Want some too? I'll give you one to celebrate your homecoming.
I accept the gift of chicken and pop it into my mouth. I guess it's because I've had nothing but crappy hospital food for a month. But it's so delicious I want to cry. Where did you get that microwave? We disassembled the phone wave name subject to change weeks ago. Oh, that was me. Daru pops out of the development room in all his rotund glory. I wonder if he's making a new future gadget. You bought it? I found it, duh. It was a pain to repair.
It's kinda old, but it still works fine.
That's our super hacker. Now let's keep up that pace and make the next future gadget.
That reminds me, Ocarine. I'm mad at you.
Mayuri suddenly puts on a pout.
Why did you leave the hospital without telling Mayushi? We went all the way to the hospital to pick you up, but the nurse said that you'd already left.
That was one hot nurse. I wish I was hospitalized instead of Ocarine. Come on, man. You think you're my guardian now, Mayuri? You've certainly come up in the world. Have you forgotten? I'm the one who protects you.
I even helped you with your diaper.
I couldn't move at all after the operation, so my mother and Mayuri made the great effort of coming to care for me. Especially Mayuri. Even though it was her summer break, she visited me every day. What did they say that he got stabbed from in this world line? Like, did it get rewritten so he was in an accident or something? Like, how did he get injured? How did they explain that away? I'm grateful for this childhood friend of mine, from the bottom of my heart. She's a ditz, to be sure, and seems like she always needs someone to look out for her. But she's actually quite tough for her age. You got your childhood friend to change your diaper? I'm jealous, man. What eroge is that from? I think Daru needs to die for a bit. Couldn't have said it better myself. Right there, baby, let's go. Thinking my thoughts. Thinking my thoughts, putting them into a great sentence right there, baby. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I bopped Mayuri on the head. I'll buy you some juicy chicken number 1 later.
Really? Thanks, Ocarine. It was worth it to help you after all.
I breathe another sigh of relief when I see Mayuri's innocent smile. Mayuri is still alive. I've seen her die countless times. Though the events of those world lines have been undone, my struggle to escape them was not in vain. If the same thing were to happen again, what would I do? Would I accept her death this time? Or would I try again to save her, even if it meant building another time machine? There's no way to know. The future is undecided. But for now, Mayuri is here. And that means everything to me. Here, take these. I give Mayuri and Daru their pins.
It's so cute.
Nice, they're finally done. Mayuri pins the badge to her chest and shows it off with a pirouette.
Gotta be sure to put this on every day, or else I won't be let into the lab.
Nobody really made that rule, but whatever.
But you know, there's something I've been meaning to ask you about the pin.
What's that?
There's an inscription, right? It says, OSHMKUFA 2010. Okabe, Shina, Hashida, and then Urashibara and Faris. I got those. But what about M, K, and A? Who are they?
M is for Makase. K is for Kiryu. A is for Amane. But the current Mayuri wouldn't understand. Those three were lab mems on a world line undone and forgotten. I haven't told Mayuri or Daru about them. They wouldn't believe me even if I told them, especially about the last initial, A. I mean, how do I tell Daru he's going to have a daughter? I can just imagine his reaction. Technically, you already saw it, didn't you? Who's my lucky bride to be? I hope she's got a cute face, and a delicate flat chest, and blonde hair, and twin tails, and a golden ratio tsundere personality. And when she's in dere mode, she's super cuddly and sexy. He'd say something gross like that, no doubt. Yeah, so why did you make me have to read it, Okabe? Why? Why did you do that to me? I remember. As I lay dying in the time machine, Suzuha gripped my hand and said,
Once we arrive, I'll probably disappear. I won't be able to thank you for bringing me to Steins Gate. So I'll thank you now. Thank you, Uncle. Don't die. Live.
Just as she predicted, Suzuha vanished the moment we returned to August 21st. What happened to the time machine? Right before my very eyes, the time machine was enveloped in rainbow light and disappeared. Oh. She was smiling as she faded away. That was proof I had reached Steins Gate. And that's why I don't mourn Suzuha.
And in 7 years, let's meet again. Okay?
I don't know what the future will bring. There's still the possibility that Daru won't get married, that Suzuha won't be born. But still, I believe that in 7 years, we will meet again. And that's when I will give her this pin, her birthright, as LabMem 008. Until then, I'll keep it in a safe place. I aimlessly head out to town alone. I want to get a better look at the Steins Gate world line. But try as I may, I can't find anything drastically different. Way back when, Faris's D-mail erased the Moe shops from Akaba. That time, it was obvious that the world had changed. Oh, there's Radicon. I feel unsatisfied, so I look up at Radicon. Obviously, there's no satellite stuck in the roof. It's open for business as usual. When I arrived on this world line, right after I saw Suzuha disappear, the very first thing I did was ask Mayuri and Daru a question. Have there been any murders at Radicon? As they panicked at the sight of my blood-stained body, they answered that no one had been murdered at Radicon. As we waited for the ambulance to arrive, I had Daru call up the news on my phone. They were running the story about Nakabachi's flight to Russia. This time, Nakabachi looked terribly agitated. His eyes were bloodshot. He was yelling, spraying spit everywhere. His appearance was strikingly similar to how I last saw him in the hallway of Radicon. To me, his unintelligible rambling was evidence of Operation Skuld's success.
This is an outrage! An outrage! A fire? How can that happen?
My precious thesis was burned to a crisp. The future of humanity went up in flames. This is no time for an interview. I won't stand for this, Russian Airlines. I'll murder every last one of your crew members. Money's not the issue. Aren't you listening? You burned my thesis. My thesis, which would have changed human history forever. I should never have let you fools handle my suitcase. None of this would have happened if I just carried it with me.
The subtitles read, "What was your thesis about?"
Time travel! The invention that can grant control over all space-time, from past to present to future.
The screen immediately returned to the studio, where a female reporter continued.
This outburst continued for some time. Dr. Nakabachi, also known as Makase Shoichi, was detained by Russian authorities upon arrival at Domodedovo International Airport in Moscow. Makase is currently under investigation by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department as a suspect in the July 28th stabbing of a young man.
Oh, so it still happened the same way. I don't think anyone's going to listen to Nakabachi now. For argument's sake, let's say Nakabachi manages to recreate Kuretsu's thesis from memory. Nothing will come of it as long as Kuretsu is alive. The scientific community undoubtedly trusts the Makase daughter over the father, meaning Kuretsu can deter any attempts made by Nakabachi. World War III won't break out, or at the very least, it won't be over the Nakabachi paper. I haven't seen Kuretsu. Apparently Kuretsu reported to the police that I was stabbed, but at present, there has been no progress on the investigation, as the victim, from their point of view, up and disappeared. I heard from Daru that no one was murdered at Radicon, and I couldn't find a single report of anyone dying in the area that day. Kuretsu is still alive. That much is certain. But I haven't had any contact with her since then. Aside from the few words we exchanged at Radicon, the current Kuretsu and I are strangers. Besides, I was bedridden, so it's not like I could have gone to see her even if I wanted to. Kuretsu said that she was supposed to go back to America in August. That was on the Alpha World line, so things may have changed. But what reason would she have to stay in Japan after what her father did to her? I thrust my hand into my pocket. 2 pins remain. One of them is for LabMem 001. That's me. The remaining badge, which belongs to LabMem 004, may never reach its rightful owner. But Kuretsu is alive, and that's good enough for me. I once chose to let her die. I once killed her with my own 2 hands. But this time, I was able to save her. No one remembers those 3 weeks we spent with Kuretsu. No one but me. I will remember. I will never forget. So I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. Hey, Kuretsu. I don't know what the future holds. War may still break out. CERN may still complete their time machine. But at the very least, the future is undecided. We're building it now, from the bottom up. Not just me, not just you, but every man, woman, and child. So keep on watching, wherever in this wide world you may be. I take out my own pin and fasten it to my chest. I walk through the sea of shoppers, staring straight ahead.
quickly turn around. Oh, so anime. Just now, in the corner of my eye, I saw her. The girl who shouldn't be here. Her long hair fluttered as she passed by me. There. A familiar figure. I'd recognize that back anywhere. She has stopped, too, in the middle of the sidewalk. Slowly, she turns to face me. It's her. I thought she had gone back to America. It's her. She doesn't even know me. It's you! That voice. That face. That hair. Those eyes. Makase Kurotsu is standing there, the same as I remember her. I've been looking everywhere for you. Ever since you saved my life, I was afraid I'd never have a chance to say thank you. I'm so glad we could finally meet. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank goodness you're all right. Kurotsu looks so radiant as she tries to hold back her tears. Just when I thought I had finally suppressed it, all my love for her flows out at once. I'm so happy that I want to cry too. So, to hide my embarrassment, I take out my phone and put it to my ear. It's me. Why is she here? Reading Steiner didn't activate. What? Protector? That's a tall order, my friend. But if that is the choice of Steins Gate, then so be it. PSY KONGROO. I close my phone and clear my throat. I have no idea what to say. She's still staring at me with those wide, pleading eyes. I open my mouth. We meet again, Christina.
How many times do I have to tell you? I'm not Christina, or your assistant, or... Huh?
Now I really have no idea what to say. How does this Kurotsu know about that? Those were the names I used to tease Kurotsu. She always got mad whenever I used them. They were our bond, our private joke. But I had yet to use them on the day we first met at Radicon. So how could this world line's Kurotsu know?
Huh? Why did I say that? Words just popped into my head.
It looks like Kurotsu is as confused as I am. She stares at me, bewildered. And then, I finally realize the truth. Everyone has reading Steiner. Even if the world line changes, even if the past and the future are rewritten, your memories remain. You've merely forgotten. All it takes is a push, and you can remember. The memories of those lost 3 weeks. The memories we made together. Welcome back, my assistant. Makase Keresu. No. Christina. I reach into my pocket and take out the last pin. Nobody knows what the future holds. And that is why, just as this reunion demonstrates, the possibilities are endless. I place the pin in Karetsu's hand. I gently close her hand in mine. And, holding back my tears, I tell her, this is the choice of Steins Gate. Oh, frick. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's finally over. I can't believe it. Oh, this is like, man, I can't, I didn't even clap because I was just too into it. Oh man, oh man. That was such a great ending, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh, I've waited all this time to be able to talk, and now I can't because I just didn't expect to have all this unloaded on me. I didn't know what to expect, man. I thought for a minute there, I thought it was going to pick up. I thought that little chapter 11, I thought that was just going to be like a little segment, you know? And then it was going to be like this transitions into Steins Gate 0, which is the kind of sequel of this game. But this completed all by itself. It was fine all by itself. It didn't need anything else. So now I don't even know what Steins Gate 0 is going to be. I'm like beside myself right now, dude. I'm trying to take all this in. I'm trying to like understand. I'm trying to unwrap. I'm trying to whatever. I might have to do a different video on this. I might have to do a video strictly dedicated to breaking down how I fully feel about Steins Gate, but I'll try and do just like the gist of it here. It's just gonna come out in this vomit pool of just a flow of consciousness, and you're just gonna have to, deal with it, and I'll maybe we'll try to edit around that or whatever. But oh man, this was such an experience. Oh my gosh, this was an experience. The amount of questions this game opened, the amount of ideas, the themes that it brought out, and again, the motifs of all the different stuff that they had. The setups and payoffs at different moments, specifically with the very beginning and the very end, with the Upa, with the letter, with everything. Just the fact that they made such a big deal about the pool of blood, and all that, and that, we just gotta, just all of that together was so, masterfully done. Just so great. Oh my goodness. And every one of the characters, except for one, we'll get to that in a minute, but every one of the characters, except for one, were just super interesting and likable, and in their own ways could be relatable, Like I personally, in most cases, not all, there were some exceptions, obviously, but in a lot of the cases, I super related to Okabe, just like in the way that he dealt with situations, in the way that he acted, in the way that he said things. There were some situations where he didn't, and certain times where he said things that I'm just like, I would just not do that myself, or I don't feel that way, or I don't whatever. But just as a rule of thumb, he was just a very interesting main character. And I love the tie-in with him of making Hao and Kiyoma so important. Like, you heard my theories if you've watched from the beginning till now. I mean, this has been a year, guys. This has been since November of 2020, I think. Maybe December. I think it was November, though, when I first started. All the way till now, which as of today, which,
whenever this gets posted, it won't probably be for a little bit, but as of today, it is the 23rd of March. So a whole flopping year has passed since I first started this journey, and I just, this was one of those things that, like, it kept making me want to come back to it. Even as long as it was, it kept pulling me back. I kept wanting to see what it had to say, where they were going to go with it, what was going to be the resolution. Some of it was kind of anime, you know, and had some of the tropes that go along with that, but some of it was actually very interesting and thought-provoking, you know? Just so interesting. But yeah, like the Haowen Kyoma thing, I love that was just a joke, that then they made something out of it. Because I thought at first, I'm like, well, maybe Haowen Kyoma is actually a real mad scientist in the future, but they've actually, rather than making it a bad thing, they made it endearing. I love that. That's so good. The tie-ins with the video that we couldn't see until we were on the same path as the Okabe that sent it to him in the first place. That's the only way we would be able to see it. It's just genius. It's genius. That is genius writing. I mean, it's brilliant writing. Like, and it's because of that, right? And I'm sure I'll gush a little bit more, but it's just as a segue. It's because of that some of the plot hole elements that don't make sense, or that I feel like were unresolved or never explained fully, that's what makes those such glaring issues to me. They don't fully take away from everything that happened, but it definitely could have been handled in a way that would have made this literally one of the most perfect stories I've ever seen. That it's literally those plot holes, really, and some of those weird mind situations, like things like having to suspend my disbelief, those weird things that just don't make sense fully, that keep this from being absolutely perfect in terms of storytelling. You know, one of which is, again, so like going back, like starting at like the whole Faris and Lukako storylines, like those chapters. Up until those two chapters, the story was moving at a pace that felt natural. It felt like everything that was happening made sense. It felt like, for the most part, you know, there was a couple of things like giving Moeka like the ability to look at our IBM 5100. That was dumb. But I was able to kind of brush that off as, okay, Okabe is like 19 years old. He's an idiot who has the power, you know, that this ultimate power to be able to change the universe. It's like, yeah, okay, I could see someone being stupid maybe, but, you know, it still frustrated me, whatever. That's besides the point. Everything else, though, really felt pretty cohesive. It felt like it was moving towards this big, you know, they were explaining all of the elements. The idea of saying that your memories were just data, you know, that then you could turn that data into like 36 bytes and send those memories into the past and theoretically time travel that way. Such an interesting theory. Like, it makes me want to get a microwave and see if I can make this happen. Get a 42-inch CRT. Let's see if we can make it happen. You know, it's like, it gives you that feeling that it's just like, what if, you know, what if you could, you know, because they didn't just say it happens. They brought some scientific elements, and, you know, I'm not a science buff, you know, so they could have been, you know, fudging numbers, and I would never know, but it sounded good, you know, it like sounds so good that I believed it right off the bat. I'm just like, sick, I'm into it. Let's go. Let's send our memories into the past and then time travel that way. I've never seen any theory of time travel that's ever remotely been like what Steins Gate presented with that time leaping idea, you know? Anytime you hear of time travel, it's always, almost always anyway, the person physically going in time, whether it means they fell asleep, like in those old 1700s books that people wrote about, you know, traveling through time, or whether it's the one by, what is it, Herbert Wells or whatever, who did the Time Machine, right? And that's the famous one. You know, all of those I still have yet to read, but I just know there's significance in time travel stuff. After looking at Steins Gate stuff, I had to know some of the significance of, you know, like the sci-fi elements of time travel and when those all came to be. But like, I've never seen anything like that before, and it was so interesting because it felt like it could happen. It felt real, you know? So many times it left me listless, you know, just, it was like this sober feeling
existential like catharticism, if that's a word, where like, in other words, where it left me like both cathartic and somber, like where it's like, you know, wishing you could do something like this just to see if you could change things of the past, but knowing you never can, and knowing that you never should, right? It's like, it's still fun to daydream, you know, because of that. And that's what this game often left me doing, is just daydreaming, being listless, like I said. But anyway, back to those 2 chapters. So very interesting up till the 6th chapter. The ending, Suzuha's ending, that was great. That was a great ending. It really made sense, and I felt like, wow, Okabe went insane and all this stuff, and he was pulled out of it because Suzuha brought him out of it, and then they went to go change the world together. We now know, because of the information we have, that would have really screwed everything up and been screwed. But at the time, it was a great ending, and I thought that that's where it was going to move on to until I learned more. And yeah, and then we got to chapter 7, right? The one with Faris. And it's this, you know, weird Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It's like, okay, I'll let it, you know, I'll suspend my disbelief again for the Yu-Gi-Oh element. You know, it's just trying to be anime. What's hard for me to fully suspend is the wishy-washiness that the game tried to take in terms of what the rules of time travel were in this world that they created. They had set up the idea that there were multiple world lines that we were jumping from one to another, and they all have the same beginning, they all have the same end, but there's infinite amounts of them in between that ravel around each other like little pieces of string in a big, you know, that make a big piece of twine together, right? So just like fragments of each other, right? I can buy that. That would make sense why you don't have paradoxes that happen. Why you can still go back in time and change stuff and it won't cause, you know, things to not happen, right? I talked about paradoxes throughout the entire game of like, wouldn't this happen? And then they kind of refuted it by coming up with that many worlds interpretation or whatever, which technically is not, this game didn't create it. It was a concept, right? It was something else that somebody else created in the real world as a theory. But anyway, that makes total sense to me. I'm like, okay, I can see that happening. But when we had to put Faris's dad back, you know, when we had to quote unquote kill him again, right? When we had, and even more so, when we had to change Luca back from being a girl to being a guy, they then acted as though they wanted us to be believing that the world was like Back to the Future's idea of time travel, where it's like a river, like how Faris initially said, like, what if it's not a river? They were trying to make it as though it was. Because, like, with Lukaku, for instance, I know I said I was going to start with Faris, but like with Lukaku, the whole big heart-tugging pull thing that was trying to make the decision hard for us to hit the button was, you know, I don't want to go back to being a guy, truly, because then I'll have to hide my feelings for you, whatever, okay? That doesn't really apply when you know that world will still go on, if that is the case, right? They were trying to act as though once we hit that button, it was going to erase the entire world, that world that was where Lukaku was a girl, and completely erase it and redefine it as him being a guy again. But the many worlds interpretation would go against that. So if it was really the multiple worlds thing, then the world that girl Lukaku is in still keeps going on. That will still keep going on until the very end, right? Because it's just one thread that's part of a big twine of all the other infinite world lines, right? So once Okabe hits that button, a part of his consciousness will go somewhere, but Okabe will still be there, right? Unless he just drops dead. Unless he just dies right after, you know, like if we found out that every time he had used, like he had changed the future to activate reading Steiner, if every time that happened he died in that world line, then yeah, okay, there's a little more weight there, even with that same interpretation. But assuming that he keeps living on in that world line, because we have no reason to believe he doesn't, then like girl Lukaku has nothing to be upset about. Because in that world line, she was always a girl. Okabe will have you know, he'll still be there. That could still work out. That could still be fine. The only difference might be that because his memories were overwritten, he lost 17 years of time with literally everyone and everything around him. He would have to deal with that, but other than that, nothing would have changed. Like, girl Lukako didn't get erased from space and time. She's still out there somewhere. It's just like saying that there's like a girl version of me on a different world line somewhere. If someone did that and demailed me out of existence, it wouldn't put my girl version out of existence. It would just put their observance somewhere else, right? That's all it was doing. It was moving Okabe's observance from one world line to another. So those moments like that one and the one where we have to put the dad back to being dead for Faris don't really hold a lot of weight because of that. Does that make sense? They don't hold a lot of weight because we know that there's multiple world lines. That world line's going to keep going on. Faris is still going to be in that world line. That Faris, the one that we made sad, is still going to have her dad. You know what I mean? It's still going to happen. It's just Okabe, at least what we're saying, the essence of Okabe, his consciousness, at least a piece of it, like a fragment of it or whatever, the part that we're following is going to another world line. But Okabe will still be there. Faris will still be there. Her dad will still be there. Girl Lukako will still be there. Okabe will still be in that world line. You know what I mean? So those moments don't have as much weight, and so it's more frustrating when you're watching them, like you're watching Okabe say, I have to go and make things right. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, there's no reason to make things right. There's no, again, what this game was proposing as the idea for time travel with this many worlds thing, morality really doesn't exist. It's completely relative to the observer, right? You could do anything and just jump to another world line. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't still keep happening, but what does it matter? You're not there to observe it, right? So that's the whole like concept that they've kind of created. So in this case, he didn't necessarily kill anyone. They brought up the idea of he could, but he didn't kill anyone with like Lukako or Faris, but he felt like, if I do this, I'm ruining their lives. It's like, no, you're not. You're just going to be in a world line where you're observing their quote-unquote ruined lives, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And so it feels like there's a contradiction there. However, after going through this and like having that sit with me, hindsight, even though I still kind of feel that way as I do about those story elements, I think what they were going for, and I can appreciate this if this is in fact what they were going for, this can almost kind of make up for the idea that they weren't fully consistent with how they were saying, what theory of time travel they wanted to stick with there. What makes it kind of okay is that they brought up this concept of being an observer, right? This very abstract, I don't even know if it's abstract, it's just this ethereal concept of everyone is their own observer. We all observe the world differently from each other, right? Just a little bit differently. We're all our own observer. And so it's the same kind of principle as like humor is subjective, right? It's subjective to the individual person. Well, they're trying to say like time is subjective to the individual person. So if we, as Okabe, are the observer, then those things do matter because we're going to remember them, right? So even though they don't matter in reality, if reality only matters or is congruent to the fact of the observer, like to whichever observer we're talking about, then the fact that Okabe went back and said, I have to make things right, really does make sense for him, because he's going to have to live with that he screwed that up. Even if he feels like it went different, he still observed a timeline where he screwed that up royally and didn't fix it, right? So if everything is just contingent upon a particular observer, like all time is based upon that, and you have the ability to observe, time and whatever, like from God's point of view, so to speak, then even if reality is that, well, it doesn't matter, those world lines are still going to go on, because reality only matters to us as the observer, and we'll remember those things, then it still is kind of important that you would fix those things for your own, like, consciousness, right? Your own conscience, your own self-conscience, so that you don't feel like this burden upon yourself, right? Does that kind of make sense? So that's kind of the saving grace that they have, is they brought up this concept of everything is relevant to a particular person. Now, from my personal beliefs, I believe that there's absolute truths, right? I don't think that everything is relative or morality is relative. But the idea that they're saying this concept of being an observer, like how Karatsu kind of said, like anything is possible. Just because you're observing a world where I don't live doesn't mean I won't observe a world where I don't live. I could easily view one where I continue to go on, right? I'll go back to America, everything will be fine. And theoretically, from how this game is saying that it was working with the multiple world lines and stuff, that alpha world line Karatsu would have continued to live on until whatever, CERN took over and all that stuff, and then she dies at 45 or whatever. But she wouldn't have just disappeared, and neither would have Okabe or any of that stuff, because he didn't do any physical time travel, right? So, but the reason that was impactful to us is not that Karatsu died. Because again, I felt the same way. I'm like, okay, well, with Mayuri's choice, like choosing Mayuri over Karatsu, it doesn't really matter. Like I said initially, I'm like, it would make more sense to go with Mayuri because then you're saving the rest of the world along with it. But again, this is coming from Okabe's perspective as the observer, the one that we're calling the observer, or ourselves, which we're living in his shoes, right? So this thing of knowing that Karatsu will live on in another world line, but knowing that you're the one that caused her to not be in the world that you're observing makes you feel responsible for it. Even if it's just you're just hopping over to that world line. What in essence you're responsible for is not killing her, like he was wording it. Instead, you are responsible for the fact that you decided you wanted to jump over to a timeline where Karatsu dies rather than one where she lives. And so the choice is really more about where do your priorities lie, right? So in the same thing of like how he saves Faris and Lukaku, or like goes back to try and, make them feel better, it's the same thing with Karatsu. It's like, it really is relative to Okabe, but it's like he feels like he's killing her, even though he's not. But it's like he's still making this choice of saying, I'm choosing one over the other, because I have the ability at this moment to choose which world line I'm going to stay on, or which one I'm going to observe, So in essence, it does still feel like a hard, impossible decision to make when you look at it from that perspective. It's just not from a reality viewpoint. Like, from me being an outsider looking in, I'm constantly looking at the logic stuff, right? I'm like, well, logically, this doesn't make sense. Well, who cares about your feelings? Just make them say something so you can get the pager number, right? Like, just say something so you can get that, because it doesn't matter. It only matters what you observe, but yet at the same time, it only matters what you observe, right? So if you have to go back knowing that you screwed something up, can you live with yourself doing that, is kind of the idea I think that they were going for. And I'm sure there's even more that I'm not fully getting, but I know that there's something to that idea of being the observer that makes the fact of the idea of kind of being wishy-washy on the time travel theory that they came up with, or time theory of world line versus the river. I know that that's probably there to make sense of the fact that they jumped back and forth between those two. It still feels a little awkward to me, but I can at least appreciate it and understand it, and it definitely made it feel better when I started thinking about that later. But I wanted to save all of that. I wanted to save talking about all of that until now. I came to this conclusion, this idea, after finishing, I think it was Mayuri's ending. I think that's when I came to this conclusion. It was like after I got done with that, when I started pondering it, thinking about it, I'm like, man, this really seemed like it went downhill. But then I started thinking, but if they're looking at it from the idea of an observer, and that it matters only because the observer is observing it, it matters to them because they're observing it, then that changes a lot of different things. Time travel, what I'm trying to say, is that time travel is very crazy. It's a very weird concept. It's something that I don't think anyone can fully wrap their mind around. It's like it's those types of ideas that make me think that God in the Bible tells us to just trust him. He just tells us to trust him. He gives us limited information, gives us broad ideas and values and whatever to follow by, things that we, he only gives us as much as like our minds are able to handle. And when people say, I don't understand, why is this happening? my personal theory, and I've always thought this, for a long time I've thought this, and this game just kind of brought it back out of me, is if God gave you more wisdom about something than what your mind could handle, you would overload it, kind of in a similar way of getting too much, memory data into your brain or whatever, like how this game proposed, right? And so it's if we were able to understand all of the concepts of the world, time and space and all that other stuff, like in full, I just wonder if it would make us go insane. If it would make it, like, if we don't have the capability to actually harness the knowledge of knowing all of those things, and that's why it's kept away from us. But it's still fun to just think about, and like, even if I had the ability to time travel, right? It's like, I don't think I could do it, because I'd be too afraid about breaking everything. Like, I don't think I could just do it just because I can, So many people, even now, in the world we live in now, there's a lot of experiments of things that people do that are, frankly, immoral, illegal, wrong, whatever word you want to put there, and they do them anyway, probably even knowing that those things are the case, but it's like their curiosity, they have to know, I don't know if I could be that way or not, because I would feel too bad about what the repercussions could be, Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, and that can apply to so many things in life, and I feel like they brought a lot of those concepts out. Now, on to Daru, which was the only person that I was leaving out of all the other characters that were relatable and likable and all this other stuff, right? Daru sucks. Daru sucks. He does. I wish that they just would strip that weird, perverted element out of him, because it just ruins him as a character. It makes him completely unrelatable, completely unlikable. Like, as you would, if you watched from the beginning up till now, you would have seen me just slowly, progressively get more upset with him, just more and more. Like, it started being like, ha, okay, all right, one joke, all right, cool, all right, ha, another joke, all right, okay, okay, stop, all right, stop, okay, no, now you're going way too far, okay, what, stop, dude, ew, and it just got so bad to where I got fed up with him, especially when it was, like, about Ney and stuff, like, no, dude, come on, man, and like, the thing, again, like, that kept throwing me off throughout the entire game. At different times, I kept forgetting the age difference of everybody. I kept forgetting that, like, Okabe's 19. I forgot that Karatsu was 18. I thought she was 17 at one point. I forgot that Mayuri was 16. I thought she was older than that at one point. All these different, like, age ranges. I don't know if things are, like, different over there, but they did talk in this game about, like, that Mayuri was a minor, and then they were from saying that, assuming that Okabe wasn't. So I'm assuming that over there in Japan, it's still, like, 18 is still the age where you're considered an adult. That's what I'm assuming by them saying that. Either that or it's 19 or 20. I don't know. It can't be 20 because they were... Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. My point is that I just didn't like Daru after a while. He was just there. They could have made him a better character. They could have made him just a big old nerd, They could have made him a lovable, likable nerd who just, can't catch a break with women, and just... make him at least relatable in that regard. Make him just kind of, he's kind of sad and pathetic, but he also he has the endearing elements to him. Any good trait about Daru was stripped away from him because of the perverted element that they made to be comedic relief. It just didn't work. That's all I can say. And it made me not like him, and I didn't want anything to do with him. That's why I was so devastated when they were like, he's Suzuha's dad. I'm like, why? Why would you make Suzuha, who is arguably one of the best characters in the game, she's just so altruistic. She just is out for the betterment of everyone else, even sacrificing herself for other people. She's super cool. She's a fighter, and she's just really tough, but she's also just super kind, and she wants to make the world better than the world she came from. All that stuff, right? Like, so great. Being the daughter of the worst character in the entire game. Why would you do that to me? That just was not okay. That made me not happy. But yeah, I mean, really, with just like personality tweaks, like if they would have just stripped that element out of him and just replaced it with that lovable nerd kind of, dorky element, I think he would have been a great character. Yeah, so Daru definitely it takes away points for me on this being, from like, greatest to the worst game, whatever. Definitely takes away points because of that. Some of the plot hole thingies, are taken away, but they're also, I don't know, they're kind of up in the air because of the observer theory that I was explaining, to where I don't fully feel like it's necessarily detrimental to the story because of that. But assuming that my observer theory is incorrect, then yeah, they definitely backtracked on the idea of the many worlds interpretation for the sake simply of making you just feel bad, just for making you have an emotional reaction. And I'm not about that. I'm about my stories making sense. So, but since I can make sense of the observer idea, and it's already just a lucid idea anyway, it's kind of abstract saying that you're an observer of time and that everybody's an observer of time in some way, shape, or form, but not fully. And anyway, all that. Because it's so lucid like that, it allows me to be able to be flexible but not fully commit, so I'm kind of on the fence about that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this and what you think about my kind of diagnosis here. Like I said, I want to do I'm thinking about it, post in the comments and like the video and all that if you would like to see me do a more in-depth analysis maybe on the totality of the story of Steins Gate, that I could, have rather than just vomiting out words like I am now and all my inner monologuing, that I could actually write something out and maybe more articulately, explain how I feel about all of this. But yeah, let me know about that. Let me know in the comments and like the video and subscribe and all that. But the whole thing with Dr. Nakabachi being the dad, I just blew half of those things. I figured it out just right before they. Right before they came up, before they told me in the game. I was literally either that stupid. If you guys figured it out ahead of time, good for you, because either I was that stupid or that was some good storytelling to where it was hidden. I mean, there's a lot of good storytelling throughout this thing, a lot of it. Yeah, just I love the idea of that they really took the concept of playing God and then being like, here's the consequences of playing God, it really causes a lot of issues. I personally wish they would have spent a little more time on saying how not good it was for Luca to be a changing thing, because since that is more of a thing that people deal with in reality, and I think more people need to be aware of that it isn't good to just transition. I mean, in this case, the game wasn't doing surgery. It was literally from birth being a girl versus literally from birth being a guy. So it kind of was a little ambiguous, I guess, on the morality aspect, but just in my mind, it still, wasn't right. And from my beliefs and whatever. But I wish they would have kind of, hammered in more of the morality or the consequences, I guess, of the other. The closest they got was saying that Lukaku changed, wanted to become a girl specifically so that he could have more confidence, and in that other world line where he was a girl, she, I guess at that point, still had just as little of confidence as the boy one did. Nothing changed, and that was probably the most prolific element that they had about that particular storyline. That it's not going to really change you, it's really you just need to be satisfied with who you are and what God created you to be, or else you will continually be unhappy. I know people don't feel that way, but it is so true. And I've heard so many stories of people who have tried to do transitions like that, or who have tried to act a certain way, and then later on, either shortly after or very far down the road, eventually they end up usually regretting it. I don't know. I don't really have anything else I think to say at this point after all that, other than just, wow, what a trip. I loved the element of Kuretsu, her whole story arc. Yeah. It just... And again, the fact that Okabe had to sacrifice himself, like I said in the little credit sequence, oh man, that's such good poetic writing. I live for that. I live for that poetic writing. The fact that he had to basically hurt himself to create the blood pool, spilling his own blood, I really like that idea of, he's like, I caused all of this. I was the one who started all of this. From the very beginning, from buying the Upa to calling out Nakabachi so he'd be upset, so that way he would try to attack us with a knife and then we would end up killing Kuretsu with it, to to literally going back in time to try to fix things, and then, you know, stabbing Keiretsu because of it. Like, it was all his fault. Everything that bad that happened, the whole butterfly effect thing happened because of him doing just mundane and then at some points dumb things. And then he had to be the one to fix the problem. He had to be the one to step up and sacrifice himself, potentially permanently, in order to make everything right again. That's good storytelling. That is good, making someone go from being like kind of, I wouldn't even say he was a narcissist, making someone go from being selfish to being selfless. I loved the element with Moeka of the forgiveness element. You don't see that as often nowadays. I specifically have an issue with the movie Coco because of it. You know, that Disney movie that everybody loves, that Disney Pixar movie. A lot of people like it. I hate it because that movie, to me, that maybe that's another video for another time. Like and comment if you want to hear about that, maybe. But I don't like Coco because it, in my opinion, from what it shows, I can't even say in my opinion. It really does just it says you don't need to forgive people. So it's nice to have a story that does the opposite, where it's like, and it was an interesting concept too, because it wasn't the same Moeka, right? It was a different world lines Moeka, but because we're the observer from Okabe's viewpoint, he's the observer, right? He still sees her as the same Moeka. And so the forgiveness that he gives her still works, because he wasn't really forgiving her because she did something. He was forgiving her to keep the bitterness out of his own heart, which is a very biblical principle, and I loved that. They didn't even probably realize they were doing that. That was so what that was to me. It was like he was saying that he was like forgiving her even though it didn't really matter because she didn't do anything wrong, for his own benefit almost, you know, so that he didn't continue to hold that bitterness towards her, you know. Super cool. Lots of good things in here. A few things that I think I wish could have been different at different moments. One of which I'm on the fence about because of the observer idea, but yeah, wow. I guess that's it. I'm gonna try to get Steins Gate 0 at some point, and we'll play that. Last I remember is it's supposed to be an alternate idea of what could have happened or something like that in terms of Makase Keiretsu's storyline or something like that. So I'm curious, but I know nothing more than that, and I'm going to keep it that way until I get the game. So I will probably be playing Steins Gate 0. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see that. And again, yeah, thank you for watching this whole series if you did. And if you haven't, go back and watch the old videos. I personally, I feel like they got a little bit better with time. But you know, I feel like they improved over time. So the first ones are a little rough. But yeah, thank you for watching if you have, and even if you just jumped in for this particular episode, thank you for listening and for paying, you know, for watching along with me and experiencing this with me, whether it was your first time or whether you've, you know, played this game, you knew it was going to happen. Just thank you for being here, and I hope to see all of you ruffians in the next video, whatever that may be. Whether it's Steins Gate from here, it's probably going to be milk outside a bag of milk outside a bag of milk. But yeah, I hope to see all of you ruffians in the next video. Peace.